January 30, August 1968. 3:40 in the morning. 10,000 NVA walked into a city. No warning. No doctrine. By dawn, Marines owned 2 blocks. The kill chain. Today, we dissect the battle America won on the ground. At the kill chain, we use Commander's own primary sources. 26 days. Marines took every block. Ho Chi Minh prevailed. We need to explain how winning streets meant losing everything. The battle plan was written in Hanoi, aimed at CBS. By 600, the Citadel flag was NVA. Image went global. MACV rated an attack on Hue at 5% probability. The real number was 100%. NVA were inside. For 3 months, NBA soldiers entered Hue in civilian clothes. Weapons caches were pre-positioned inside the city before January 30 honest. MACV measured enemy strength by body count, not by intent. Westmoreland reported 3 NVA companies had entered Hue. The actual number was 8,000. MACV's credibility collapsed. Hue was Vietnam's 3rd largest city and its imperial capital. Raising the NVA flag was a psychological operation, not tactical. Sanh was the decoy. Westmoreland concentrated forces there instead. This was operational deception. It worked precisely as planned. Sanh or the cities? Which do you choose? Westmoreland chose Sanh. Ho Chi Minh planned for that. 4th NVA took South Hue. 6th Regiment seized the Citadel. By 800, NVA held Hue. No quick reversal was possible. American commanders didn't understand what kind of battle this was. MACV after action reports. The picture is deeply sobering. No unit had trained for urban fighting since Korea. Marines arriving February honest were trained for a different war. Here is the question the archive forces us to confront. No doctrine existed, and the Marines were already inside. Lt. Col. Cheatham commanded 20 Battalion 5 Marines entering Hue. Cheatham, 40 hours without sleep, searched every crate for doctrine. He found one, a 1,950 pamphlet on Seoul house clearing tactics. Captain Ron Christmas commanded Hotel Company 25 Marines. Their objective, the Hue Provincial Administration Building. First Seoul lesson, advance by fire, not movement. 3.5-inch rocket, target below the window base, not into it. Every 20 yards cost a firefight. Windows were kill zones. Bowdoin, the most savage Marine fighting since Iwo Jima. The Battalion War Diary and the DTIC After Action Report conflict. Confirmed, 25 Marines suffered roughly 50% casualties week 1. CS tear gas and combined arms became the improvised doctrine. February 6th, Hotel Company stormed the provincial building under fire. Christmas secured it and called to raise the American flag. Westmoreland ordered the flag lowered. It looked like occupation. What happens when Marines enter urban combat with zero doctrine? Hotel Company entered Hue without any urban warfare manual. Cheatham found the sold pamphlets in a supply crate. Every 20 yards cost a firefight, windows were kill zones. That suffering produced FM 9010, America's first urban doctrine. Subscribe, we cover decisions that change military history weekly. North of the river, the Citadel was a different fight. The Honest AR held Mankay compound throughout the battle. Air support restricted, Hue was a cultural heritage site. Here is what official histories underemphasize. NVA had execution lists. Government officials, teachers, doctors, religious leaders targeted by name. The Hue Massacre, between 806 civilians executed. 18 mass graves found after the battle containing 200 bodies. CIA analysis. Declassified 1,998. Confirms the massacre was pre-planned. The press covered the tactical battle. The massacre barely registered. The NBA flag flew 25 days over the imperial capital. Every photograph of that flag countered Westmoreland's body count claims. "You are Westmoreland. Explain that flag to Washington." His answer: Request 206, 0 additional soldiers from Washington. General Wheeler urged Westmoreland to formalize that request. Fateful choice. The request leaked. New York Times published it March 10th. Told they were winning. Now 206, 0 more troops were requested. Clark Clifford ordered a full A to Z reassessment of Vietnam policy. Hue hadn't just destroyed a city, it destroyed war's credibility. Every Johnson administration promise about Vietnam was now on trial. February 27th, 1968, CBS anchor Walter Cronkite returned from Vietnam. He had seen Hue firsthand. What he reported changed history. His editorial declared the war mired in stalemate. One word. The LBJ quote is disputed. Turner questions its origin. LBJ's approval fell 12 points the week after Tet. Marines were winning every firefight as the war ended anyway. Ho Chi Minh knew the front was American living rooms. Tet was a military catastrophe. NVA lost 45-0 casualties. Ho Chi Minh achieved every objective without winning the battle. The commander's memoir and the signal logs tell different stories. Westmoreland's 1976 memoir claims he warned of Tet. Records differ. His January 1968 summaries rate Hue a low probability target. West Point calls this institutional self-protection in after-action records. February 24th, South Vietnamese forces prepared to retake the citadel. Black Panther Company, Honest Earvin's elite, pulled the NVA flag. February 29th, the NVA flag came down from the citadel. Battle over. Marine and ARVN casualties: 475 killed, 800 wounded. NVA and VC losses: approximately 5-0 inside Hue, 3-0 outside. By every metric, the US and ARVN had won Hue. The war's trajectory from February 1968 onward was irreversibly downward. Clifford's reassessment concluded the war could not be won militarily. His report reached LBJ in March. Johnson had decided. March 30th, 1968. Lyndon Baines Johnson addressed the nation. He would not seek and would not accept the nomination. The real casualty of Hue appeared in no after-action report. The LSU thesis, the doctrine the Army didn't want. Every thread converging, battle won, flag down, the President finished. Why did one broadcast beat 26 days of Marine victories? February 27th, Cronkite declared Vietnam mired in stalemate on CBS. LBJ watched the recording. Aide Jack Valenti describes silence. Ho Chi Minh planned to win living rooms. Hue. March 30, Honest LBJ announced he would not seek re-election. The Doctrine Rewrite this disaster-forced breakdown and description. What does the archive confirm about the massacre's political suppression? CIA confirms advanced preparation. Execution lists were pre-printed. September 1968, 3 NVA defectors confirmed Decoy Creek executions. Victim count remains contested, 462 documented. Other estimates reach 6-0. Douglas Pike argued deliberate policy. Gareth Porter argued spontaneous violence. CIA analysis supports pre-planned interpretation. Exact execution orders remain unclear. No surviving records cover the 4 hours before the killings. We may never know. What we know changed doctrine permanently. First lesson: never enter urban combat without dedicated combined arms doctrine. Second, body count metrics bind commanders to enemy intent. Third, the enemy defines the decisive front, not you. FM 9010, Urban Operations. 1979. Born in Hue. 11 years between the battle and the doctrine. West Point uses Hue as a compound intelligence failure study. The case study asks, what prevented MACV from seeing this? An institution confirming existing doctrine cannot detect contradicting evidence. Body counts confirmed. Case unfit. Hue destroyed the theory. Hue City was rebuilt. 116 zero homeless returned. The Citadel stands. 142 Marines killed in Hue unnamed on the wall. The NVA were buried outside the city they had held. Hue Massacre victims received no memorial until 1983. Cronkite called the stalemate editorial his most important broadcast. Johnson died January 4973, days before the Paris Accords. He never saw the end of the war. He lost. In our assessment, the fatal miscalculation at Hue was epistemic. MACV built a system that could only confirm existing beliefs. Body counts confirmed progress. Sanh confirmed the threat picture. Then Hue happened. The system had no category for it. This pattern, doctrine confirming itself, repeats across history. Fallujah 2004. US doctrine met urban insurgency. Same doctrine gap. Mosul 2016. FM 9010's descendants applied against ISIS urban fortifications. Hue's doctrine reached Mosul 40 years later. Still not enough. Not lost in streets. Lost before the first shot was. Lost in 1945, the victorious army closed its urban doctrine. Lost in 1968, when data couldn't see the enemy massing. 1,446 Allied soldiers killed. 26 days. One presidency, one broadcast, one doctrine manual too late. West Point teaches Hue as the most complete compound failure. Intelligence failure, doctrine gap, strategic miscalculation, simultaneously, 26 days. A democracy's center of gravity is its public will. Every day that NVA flag flew, body counts couldn't erase. The call studies Christmas in Cheatham as adaptation under fire. Marines with wrong doctrine who improvised their way through anyway. The intelligence failure, the tactical adaptation, all documented. Full tactical breakdown, every failure, every adaptation in description. Doctrine gap or intelligence failure, both. The same epistemic failure. Next, the operation that changed special forces forever. Subscribe.